Yo, welcome back to the Red or Blue Pill channel, people. Thank you for returning subscribers and members. What we do here, if you are new, is we react to the most disturbing and creepy videos from the internet, and we go through the latest. If you like what you see, don't forget to sub up, turn on the notifications, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. With that being said, let's roll.
Video is for entertainment purposes only.
Regardez-moi ça un peu. De grandes rayures.
Did he just let the cat out of the bag?
My name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable. And so we need to look at all of those things, and then we need to do specific.
But I'm pretty sure that this is not a conspiracy anymore.
This is how you know that Hollywood is fucked up, because they hid the dark truth in this Friction movie and nobody noticed. Just watch.
Professor, my cells are reproducing at a phenomenal speed, several million per second. I'm having trouble precisely evaluating the time of my data lasts more than 24 hours.
What are you talking about?
What I'm saying is that your theory is not a theory. I absorbed a large quantity of synthetic CPH4 that will allow me to use 100% of my cerebral capacity. Right now I'm at 28%, and what she wrote is true. Once the brain reaches 20%, it opens up and expands the rest. There are no more obstacles. They fall away like dominoes. I'm colonizing my own brain.
Wasn't that the exact same thing that this human biologist said on his podcast before it got shut down?
Most people, especially young people, probably don't realize that they're walking around right now at about 55%, maybe 60% of their true state of normal. There is a nutrient, an amino acid.
If anyone finds out what that is, please let me know. I could do with some of that.
There will be one country, one territory, one nation, and the people will be free of politics and religion. People will be free as God has intended us to be free. Marvin, I would like to make a few comments that people are relaxed. That's very important now.
Yes.
The Nazis are gone. The remainders are being chased. We have surfaced partly, still covered on the 1st of May, May Day 24. We have started arresting and executing 500,000 individuals, elements that are criminal, corrupt, satanic. We will kill and execute and arrest 8 million or millions more ongoing, and we will not stop here, by the way. From now on, we will defend
8 million, you said?
Of course, many more.
Wow.
Any doctor that has injected a human being with this bioweapon will be executed. Any nurse, any doctor that put a needle into a human being without consent will be executed. They have committed a crime against humanity. Again, I don't want to cry here, but we lost 1 billion people. I mean, 1 billion divine human species and children. You cannot imagine the number. The Nazis are the national Zionists, the Jews. They are not human. They will be either exterminated or taken off Earth by other means. You need to understand the Space Force started in 1947 with the secret space program, SSP. That was well before Yuri Gagarin, our friend, went to space as the first man in space, right? And you might ask yourself, why did we have SSP? Why did we have in 47? My watch is from 1947, you see. why did we have a secret space program? Secret space. Because I have to say this, our Earth Alliance is helped by the Galactic Federation, and you'll be informed about all these things.
Well, this guy seems to be surfacing again. He seems to be coming back. It's strange because he went missing for so long, and now suddenly all his content's back allowed online again. I mean, he said some crazy stuff, but in a crazy world, some rabbit holes are worth chasing, I think. What in the hologram is going on there, Pips?
The following video comes from a woman named Tanya. She was watching the live announcement of the new Pope when she captured something in the crowd, and thankfully she got it on video. Not only were thousands of people in attendance, but it also looks like something else, something supernatural was there, and it moved rapidly through the crowd. Take a look at this. Comment below. Tell me what you think.
Dang, somebody's running through the crowd really fast. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Dang, somebody's running through the crowd really fast.
It quite possibly could have been Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yo, Hebrew's all math. It's all numbers. You know that? Yeah, look. The ancient Jews used Hebrew as their numerical system, eh? Each letter's a number. Like the Hebrew A, Aleph, it's 1. B, Bet, it's 2. You understand? But look at this. The numbers are interrelated. Like take the Hebrew word for father. Av, Aleph, Bet. 1, 2 equals 3. All right? Hebrew word for mother, Aim, Aleph, Mem. 1, 40 equals 41. Sum of 3 and 41, 44. All right? Now, Hebrew word for child. All right? Mother, father, child. Yelad. That's 10, 30, and 4. 44. Torah is just a long string of numbers. Some say that it's a code sent to us from God.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's just kid stuff. Check this out, okay? The word for the Garden of Eden, Kedem. Numerical translation, 144. Now the value of tree of knowledge, all right, in the garden, right? Eitz HaChaim, 233. 144, 233. Now you can take those numbers.
No, like the Fibonacci sequence.
Fibonacci.
Fibonacci's an Italian mathematician in the 13th century. If you divide 144 into 233, the result approaches theta.
Theta?
Theta. Greek symbol. Golden ratio, golden spiral.
Wow. I never saw that before. That's like that series you find in nature? Like the face of a sunflower?
Yeah, numbers is the universal language, I think. Everybody can understand numbers. There's just, I think if we live in a simulation, then that would be the way of the contact would be from above. Also, the 144, I find very intriguing. Very intriguing.
A flight from Atlanta to Toronto, and I specifically picked the window seat because I knew I'd get a chance to see a sunrise. As you can see, I'm looking very touristy with my P900, but what I recorded was 100% proof that the sun is not 93 million miles away, so check it out. So here's the video I took. As you can see, the sun is about to start rising, and it's not even past the horizon. You can see the horizon in the background, and the sun is going to start rising through that thick layer of clouds right there. Now, if the sun is 93 million miles away, it would be rising at the horizon, not in the middle of the clouds, right there. So I was at about 34,000 feet when I was recording this with my P900, and I don't see how that is possible if the sun is 93 million miles away.
This is the original video right here with only 634 views. Let's see what happens when I click on it. His account has been terminated. The owners of YouTube, they don't want you to have this information.
Don't pay attention to the sun having clouds in the front and having clouds in the back. Don't pay attention to that. It's a mirage.
It's a mirage.
Those clouds that you see going behind the sun is your imagination. It's not really there. Same with the moon. And there's clouds in front of the moon, and then all of a sudden there's some clouds going behind the moon, and you can see it. Don't look at that. That is not true. That's a mirage. It's your imagination. You're seeing things. The camera is lying to you. The telescope is lying to you. Because the moon is 237,000 miles away, and the sun is 93 million miles away.
Yeah, pretty local, I must say indeed. Pretty local. Like a local shop, you know? It ain't coming out of off your street, if you know what I mean. And that is some cryptic language right there, peeps.
So Alcatraz is back in the news. Well, if that's the case, there's a few things we should talk about. Except I'm going to assume that most people have a pretty good understanding of what this place is, so we're just going to get weird right off the bat. See, there's a lot of interesting details about Alcatraz that most people don't even know. It started off as an island where native Indians would go to collect bird eggs and fish and even hold ceremonies. And just like everything else, it was traded and bought. See, the first structure that was on Alcatraz Island was a lighthouse. And then not too long after that, in 1859, the military took it over, fortified it, and made Fort Alcatraz. With the intentions of protecting San Francisco Bay, Alcatraz Island has been built and rebuilt by the U.S. military for over 80 years. Until 1933, when they turned it into strictly a federal prison, which is what we see today, Alcatraz, aka The Rock. But what a lot of people don't understand is there's a lot of layers to this island. Like, it has everything that we know it for above ground, all the cell blocks and everything, but this thing has a whole underground. It's even got multiple dungeons. And this is where we're going to get weird, because the best way I can explain this is to follow one man. Organized crime boss, James Whitey Bulger. Now, I'm not going to go into what this man did in his career, but when he was finally busted, he went to a prison in Atlanta, Georgia. And at that prison, he was subjected to certain experiments. Until 1959, that is, when he was transferred to Alcatraz. Now, not only is it weird that he went from Georgia, did his little experiments, and then went straight to Alcatraz, but while he was there, but one of the friends he made at Alcatraz was this guy named John Anglin. That was one of the two brothers and the uncle that escaped from Alcatraz and were never seen again. All right, now, there's something I want you to understand about San Francisco Bay and just San Francisco as a whole. See, it's kind of been a testing ground. Now, don't forget, late 50s, early 60s is when Whitey Bulger, Machine Gun Kelly, Al Pacino, all these guys were at Alcatraz. Operation Sea Spray. They sprayed a bacteria over San Francisco. It was a simulation to see how fast and how far it would spread. And from what I hear, they're still dealing with that to this day. Then there was Operation Midnight Climax. This is basically just a side quest of the All right, now what they did is they used ladies of the night to lure them in, get them on, and use it for surveillance and control. You see, those same 3 letters have had a stronghold in San Francisco for a long time. And just in case you're having any doubts that something like this actually happens, back in 2022, the University of California comes out and apologizes for the experiments they were doing on prisoners back in the 50s and 60s in San Francisco. Doing things like putting pesticides on their skin and there's definitely more that's going to come out about this with the hidden dungeons that were found. Even here more recently, where archaeologists x-rayed the ground underneath Alcatraz, in which they found buried structures, vaulted brick masonry tunnels, ventilation ducts, all kinds of stuff. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this whole thing, but it'll be interesting to find out. Y'all stay safe.
Alcatraz is probably the prime example of what could be going on underground, which is people on that island. If you was a baby and you grew up on that island and you was told that that was all there was that island, you wouldn't know anything different. And people that are from the normal civilization wouldn't know there's anyone there. And they could quite easily bring up a civilization that just think that their island is their island and do experiments on. And put that into a big picture, it's probably what we're living in.
We have been cooling down for the last 4,000 years. So if people say, oh, the planet's warming, well, it's all about when you start the measurements. If we look at the last 38 years, there has been no change in temperature. If we look in the last 150 years, we've had 3 warming periods and 3 cooling periods with a total warmth of about 0.6 degrees Celsius. Now, I wonder why it warms. I mean, 1850, what happened then? Oh, yes, that was the end of the Little Ice Age. Do you think it's going to warm or cool after a Little Ice Age? Of course it's going to warm. So if you start taking measurements from 1850 in the Industrial Revolution, we have been warming. If you take measurements from the medieval warming, we've been cooling. We've cooled about 5 degrees since then. If you take measurements from the Roman warming, we've cooled about 5 degrees. So as soon as someone tells you, oh, it's warming, the reply you give is, since when?
What in the upside down world are we living in, people?
How is it that only a few thousand elites can actually manipulate and completely control 8 billion people on this planet? Well, apparently this question was on the top of a mind of a sociology student in Russia in 1986 who came up with a game that actually explains exactly how this is done. The game is called Werewolf or Mafioso in Russian, and the premise of the game is to give out cards in a room full of people where only 2 werewolf cards are given and the rest are villagers. Now, there's a moderator, and that moderator will call nighttime. During nighttime, everybody has to put on blindfolds except for the 2 werewolves, giving them extra knowledge knowing who the other werewolf is, and they get to decide who to eliminate out of the villagers to eliminate them out of the game. Then when the moderator calls daytime, the villagers get to discuss who they think the werewolf is, and the premise of the game is to try and eliminate both werewolves before all the villagers are gone. But most of the time, the villagers lose. And the reason why they lose is, one, because they can't communicate. They have this uninformed knowledge of who the wolves are. So most of the time, they end up eliminating their own villagers. Now, if you look at this in today's society with the broken education system, the pumping of the egos, the narcissists, then you've got paranoids who think that everybody and everything is a fake and, all of this stuff, you end up getting that mess that we're seeing with villagers where they cannot communicate amongst each other, get informed, use discernment in order to realize who the wolves are in a strategic kind of way. Whereas the wolves know exactly who they are because they have the, ability to see each other during the nighttime routine of the game. And so they have this extra knowledge, and then they can use strategic movements on how to eliminate each and every single player, depending on how they discuss things in the mornings, you can kind of see who's getting closer to the truth can be eliminated, and you can leave those useless, paranoids to further eliminate other villagers. And that's exactly what these elites are doing now, and that's exactly why they call them the useless eaters or the useful idiots, because they pump their egos and their self-esteem to a level where these villagers think that they have the knowledge, but what's actually happening is the elites are just using them to eliminate more villagers so that at the end of the game they end up winning as the werewolves. And it's the exact same strategy being used on us today by many letter agencies, by the media, by MSM, and so forth. And the only thing we can do to battle it is to get as much information out there and try and inform the uninformed masses in order to realize who our real enemies are and to focus on eliminating the werewolves out of this so-called game or this game of life that we're all kind of, unbeknownst participants to.
Well, very good example. Very, very, very good example of probably what is going on, actually, and the way to communicate. Because the more people there are, the more you're probably going to argue with someone, right? Where if there's only two of you, you're going to probably find common ground and be easier to communicate. That's just the start of it. And then, yeah, well, you can kind of see what's going on in today's world, can't you? But that's the end of the show, peeps. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the support. I'll see you again tomorrow.